Greetings and welcome to the Mystic Crew Pinball broadcast. I am Mike and I am here to show you another machine and talk about a little bit about this machine, show you a little bit of gameplay and a little bit of history and the story of this particular game, share with you some of my thoughts and ruminations. What we have here is a 1963 Gottlieb Slick Chick. This is a very well-known, highly regarded early electromechanical machine with the small flippers, the little two-inch flipper thingies, and this gaping hole in the middle. This is one of the machines that has quite a large gap between the flippers, and it also has what's known as a gobble hole here in the center. The ball falls through that, you get 100 points. And you'll notice that it's got mostly little pop bumpers everywhere in targets. It doesn't seem like it has a lot going on in this game, but it actually does. Let me talk a little bit about this genre of machine. This is from 1963. This is before they switched over to the larger flippers. And this is a wedge head machine. Single-player Gottlieb games were called wedge heads, and you can see that the actual outline of the head is wedge shaped. That's where the term wedge head comes from. And this theme, Slick Chick, is obviously a little bit of a kind of a takeoff of Playboy, with the girls in the bunny suits. And there's a rumor floating around that Gottlieb had some legal trouble from Hugh Hefner because of this game. I believe Playboy came out in 1961. This is 1963, so they kind of tried to ride on the popularity of the magazine, I believe, and had a kind of similar but different theme with Slick Chick. You've got your barbershop quartet on the playfield there with the girls, the bunny girls. Looks like a kind of a Playboy club kind of scene, minus anything that might be the intellectual property of some other entity. Low scoring game, you can see 999 points, and with a little extra 1,000 light if you're lucky enough to get that. And it's very hard to score 1,000 points in this game. This is a really great game. It's a very hard game. It's a game that teaches you a lot about nudging. And why don't we play a game and then I'll talk a little bit about what's going on with the rule set. But let's just start a game. So put a ball into play with the normal thing. And then so you saw I went through one of the rollovers and one whole diagonal line of pop-upper lights went out. Now both went out, and now they both lit back up. What I basically did was spell Slick Chick. So the way this works is, and the rule set is very simple, but it's very hard to achieve. You have S-L-I-C-K, C-H-I-C-K. You have Slick Chick. The objective is to put all those lights out, obviously by hitting the corresponding bumper switch. But you have to hit them in order of the word. So you have to hit S first, then L, then I, then C, then K. Same thing with chick, C-H-I-C-K. So if you hit K, C, I, those lights will stay lit until you take out the chick in chick. Once you take out both lights, both words, it lights one of these rollovers in the center. And you see there's a 5 rollover buttons. They're normally worth 1 point, but for every time you spell Slick Chick, they're worth 10 points. So also you can spot Slick or Chick by either hitting one of these targets here in the corner or the rollovers. And I'm not sure if the center one will spot any of these, but I do know if you hit the center 2 or 3 times, it lights the side slingshots for 10 points each. So basically, If you spell slick chick a bunch of times, it increases the scoring of the lower portion of the playfield dramatically by a factor of 10. So instead of 1 point, you get 10. Now, there's also the 1, 2, 3, 4 rollovers up here. Those give you nice amounts of points, 30 points for those. And if you get all of those lit, they light the special. And if the ball falls in the hole, you also get 100 points. There's some argument as to whether or not you want the ball to fall in the hole. But 100 points per ball would be quite a good score. 500 points or better is probably quite a good score. So you would be so lucky to be able to get every ball in that hole. Obviously, a huge gaping hole here between the flippers. So this is a game that's really all about nudging. All about nudging. So let's put a few more balls into play. And I'd try to go for one of those two top rollovers, which will spot either slick or chick, plus give me 50 points. So, missed it. So there's the H goes out. There's the I. Yeah. Okay. Oh! Ooh, that flipper's getting a little wonky on me. Oh, that's the switch. I've been trying to adjust that for a while. I gotta fix that. Yeah. Okay. Let's try this again. All right, so now we got two of those little buttons for 10 points apiece. Nice. See, I'm giving it a little bit of an oomph every time it hits it. Oh, not a bad ball there. Okay, so we've got two 10-point things lit there. This is our last ball. Ah! Now, a lot of these early EM games, they have good points. Ah! Having these two things lit for the 10 points is really big. That's really big. You have to be careful tilting on these older EMs that are the 5-ball wedge heads, because when you tilt, you don't lose just that ball, you lose the entire game. So the tilt on this machine is pretty tight, I think. So let's start another game and see how far we can go. I'll tell you what. Let me show you what you can do. The fun part where you can actually do like an instant multi-ball. So we can put all these balls into play, or multiples at once, if you want to kind of have fun with it. So if you think multi-ball was, just some kind of late model concept, on these games, these early ones, you can have multi-ball. You can start multi-ball anytime you want. I am not convinced that it's a smart thing to do, though. Yeah, that right flipper's a little weak. Okay. So, here we go. Let's try another. This is a great game to use in competition because really, This is another wild card game. It is certainly possible to get quite good at this machine and know how to nudge it, but also it's quite possible for somebody who's not really a good player to just have a stellar game and kick a very experienced player's butt. Nothing I can do there. Okay. Good piece of dirt there in the playfield. Ah! Come on, get up there. Yeah, this is a very physical game. You got to you definitely have to work it. Mistake. I don't know why that flipper keeps chattering. I opened the game the other day and cleaned all the contacts on it. It wasn't the coil. The coil was working fine. There's no end of stroke switch on this thing. At least I don't think there is. I have to check. So, funny story how I got this game. I've been wanting one of these games for a long time, and usually is the case when you're looking for a machine. It shows up on Craigslist, but it also shows up for a crazy price that you can't afford to pay. And that's what happened in the case of this machine. Somebody wanted something like $1,500, $2,000 for it. And probably to the right person, maybe it's worth it. Although this game is not in that great a condition. But it is complete and it does work. But it sat on Craigslist for quite a while because they were asking a lot of money for it. And it was maybe about 2 hours away from me. So, after a couple of months of it sitting there, I just decided to call. And I think I called him before and something, and I got this guy, and he got this thing in a storage auction, and it wasn't working, but he looked it up and saw what people were paying for it, so he asked for this crazy price. And so I passed on it, and it sat on Craigslist for about 2 months, and I decided I would call him and say, well, hey, what's going on with the thing? And I got the guy's wife on the phone, and the wife says, I want this thing out of my house, just give me any amount of money, and you can have it. And I said, well, and I think I offered a couple $100 or something, because the plug had been cut off of it. They had not plugged it in, and weren't able to check to see if it was working. I didn't know if the game was complete. So I said, well, here's how much I'm willing to pay. And she's like, okay, you can come get it. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, it's your husband's game, right? She said, yeah. He bought it in a storage shed, and storage auction. And I said, well, I don't want to drive all the way down there and your husband say, oh, yeah, my wife was wrong about that. And she's like, I wear the pants in the family here. Come get it. I'm telling you, he's not. So I'm like, so I drove down there, and I wasn't sure if when I got there, there was going to be a big fight or whatever. But she just got tired of the thing sitting in the house. He couldn't sell it after a while, so they made me a deal. Sometimes you can do that. I'm gonna have to figure out what's wrong. What's wrong with that right flipper? There's always something wrong here. So when I got the machine, it was missing a bunch of stuff. It was missing some of the pop bumper caps, and those things are very, very hard to find. The original ones look a lot different They've got this marbled plastic, and the new ones that you can buy from Steve Young are just regular blue. They're not the same material. So my girlfriend is really, really good at doing faux painting and color matching. So she actually aged the bumper caps, so that they look, and you really can't tell. I think if you look at it, you really can't tell which ones are the real ones, which ones are the fake ones. Um, they were, except you can see some of them have the burn marks from the bulbs. And I did put some. I think I did put some LEDs inside of the bumper caps because I just didn't want the heat to mess them up anymore. But yeah, this is a really cool, fun game. Um, it's really hard for anybody to score anything consistently. I think our high score on this machine is 1,450 points. Down the middle. I think I've gotten over 1,000 a couple of times. I personally think anything over 600 points is really good on this game. Oh, I like I like it when if you get it on the slingshots and just have the ball bouncing back and forth. I think that's a good thing. Usually it's a bad thing, but oh. I should probably high tap this game. High tapping is when you put a little bit more voltage to the flipper coils so that they're a little bit more powerful. I generally kind of keep everything stock. Okay. Yeah, there's something wrong with that flipper. It just doesn't, sometimes it's got power and sometimes it doesn't. I'm going to have to take another look at that. So when I got the game, yeah, it was definitely not working, and I had to do a lot of work to fiddle around with it. But ended up getting it working. It was complete. You never know when you pull these games from people that don't have any experience with them. Oh, that was nice. Ah, I'll take that. Not too bad, not too bad. Let's go for... Let's see if we can break 500 or 600. Alrighty. Nice. Get back up there. That was a relatively decent ball. That was only 84 points. Ah, that really hurts. When you can't hit one of those rollovers, that's 50 points you lose right there. So every little hit of the pop-upper, that's just 1 point. That's not a lot of points. All right, 220 on 2 balls, so that averaged out pretty good. Okay, nice. Oh, that flipper is just getting weaker and weaker. Lost it on that one. Still a little bit less than 100 points a ball. Come on. Yeah, look how weak that flipper is. I'm gonna have to figure out what's wrong with that. Can't do anything about that. All right. Nice. Whoa! Yeah, that flipper's sick. That's not working. I'll tell you what. Let's take a look at it. Let's see if we can figure out what the problem is. I'm gonna go get the keys. Now, I don't have a tremendous amount of experience working on these older games. I've done more work on the solid states than I have the EM. Now you can just smell the smoke. I think this game's got one of these bars you gotta pull to lift it up. Okay. Alright. So here's the flipper thing. And there's the other one. Everything looks good here. Okay, so there is an end of stroke switch. I'm going to assume maybe that end of stroke switch is what's fluttering, causing some problems. So I am going to clean a little bit off this end of stroke switch. All the connections look good. The coil seems to be fine. Compare it to the other coil. It's pretty smooth. But I'm going to assume that the end of stroke switch on here. And I'll tell you what, let me flip to the other camera so you can see better. Okay. So here's our flipper. You can see this one right here, maybe. There's the inside of the machine. It's really nice how they've kind of brass plated everything. So all right, I'll be right back. Got a little piece of very, very fine sandpaper I'm going to use to file this end of stroke switch. Make sure that it's all very nice. Now, the way this works is the voltage goes through, it's kind of like a dual set of coils here. When the flipper is up, it switches to the low power portion of the coil. When the flipper is down, if the initial fire is a high power coil, and this back like that. Give it a little bit more power. That one's nicely adjusted. perfect. Okay. I think that's going to be pretty good. Okay. I don't like to mess with these games a whole lot. Once you get them working, you know, it's just best to just leave them alone. Let's try the game with the glass off. Alright, my headset back on. So let's see. Ah, look at that. Still chattering. What is that? Why is it doing that? I don't like that. Wonder if it's this actual mechanical switch down here. Okay, let me try something. Tilt it. Okay. Bend this a little bit. Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah, I think the flipper plate was a little bit out of position. Yeah, look at that. So what I did was I bent the flipper assembly. Yeah, that's got some power now. Yeah. Okay. Bam. So, the underside of this game, in fact, let me switch video. The underside of this game, the flipper switches are actually attached to the bottom of the playfield, and when you press the flipper button on the side, there's a wire form that's spring-loaded that actually you move with the flipper button that pushes the actual switch on the underside of the playfield. So it's a really weird kind of setup they've got here, and I don't know if the metal got fatigued and it bent back a little bit further, but basically what was happening was when you press this button, there's a little metal form that kind of it moves and hits this switch that's like right here, and it hits this switch, and the switch was probably bent back a little bit, so it didn't touch it really well. So I just bent the switch back. Of course, it wasn't a bad idea to fix the end of stroke and kind of tighten that up a little bit too. So there we go. Now it's working much better. Sometimes it's as simple as that. You just bend a little switch. I think while I got the glass off, I might put a little bit of wax on this game and clean it up a little bit. It's one of the favorites in the club. Although now it's probably playing better, so I should at least play a game on it. With the flippers working. So let's see what we can do. It seems like it's just a little peppier all across the board, doesn't it? All right, come on. There we go. Ugh. Nothing could be done about that. Yeah, look at that. That was a 50-point shot. Ah. Okay, now it's working nice. Yeah, I'm going to put some wax, clean this up a little bit. It hasn't been cleaned in a while. This game has basically been put back into fully operational condition, but it hasn't been, like you could see wood over here on the I mean, we haven't made the cabinet look pretty or anything like that. It's not as big a priority to make this game like showroom quality. Boink. All right. But a very fun game, very highly regarded by collectors and other enthusiasts. In a competitive environment, an experienced player probably won't like this game, but an inexperienced player can do quite well. It's a real wild card game. And here in New Orleans, the competitive pinball scene is just getting going, so we really don't have a whole lot of very heavily competitive, super intense people. We've just got a lot of casual players. And so I tend to favor machines in our tournaments that allow a less experienced person a chance to beat a very experienced player. On these modern games where they've got super deep rule sets, if you know the rule set, you can, doesn't matter how good you are, you're going to beat the person that doesn't know what to shoot at. And if we just did a lot of those modern games, what would happen is there'd be 3 or 4 people in the area that would just kick everybody's butt continuously, and the casual players would get discouraged, and our scene would kind of flounder. And we just don't have a big enough scene down here to where we can really afford to do that. And it's just not fun. It's not fun when the same people keep winning all the time. So we encourage beginners to come here and to compete and to hang out and play. And we pick a lot of games where they don't have to have had a lot of time on the machine in order to be able to possibly do well. And they don't have to memorize some super complicated rule set and what version of the software it is. And, on a lot of the heavy-duty competitive people, the way they play the game is just completely different than the game was actually designed. They find some little section of the game where there's a disproportionate payoff with points, and that's all they do is just play around in that particular area. We really encourage kind of pinball in the traditional sense of how it was played, where you just, you explore everything on the machine and have fun with it. And I tend to like games where, you have to work all different areas of the machine in order to do that. And with competitive pinball coming back, we're starting to see modern games do a lot more of that. Oh, that was a mistake. Wow, 233 points. What happens when I'm yapping? Come on. Come on, there we go. Come on. Give me some points. Give me points! Tilt. Okay. One more game. All right. I have to keep remembering it. Well, it's funny. People come over and play this game. They press the start button, and they're like, "It's broken. There's no balls came out." They don't realize that you have to manually load them yourself. Of course, I've also noticed, just in a general sense, younger kids today, right around that. Younger kids today, they don't even understand coin op. They're not used to even putting coins in things. Not even aware there's a coin return. Like if they put a quarter in something and nothing happens, they don't know what to do. Oh. Oh, tilted it. Bam, there goes the game. Yep. All right, do one more. All right, give me some good vibes, some good luck on this one, and let's see how we do. That's not a good sign. I hate that. Sometimes the ball gets stuck. There we go. That's a bad head. Oh! All right, 36 points. Come on, baby, come on! I'll take that. Okay, my goal is to break 500. Not on track to do that. Oh, and I tilted! Getting a little mean with it. Okay. Let's try one more time. Wow, I can actually just feel the spring getting fatigued in the plunger. It just doesn't have the same... Really? The randomness of pinball. Oh! Okay. There it is. That was a good biff. That was a bad shot. Oh. Rough. That's rough. Okay. One more. Yeah, you know what? I think that switch is just getting fatigued and getting pushed back. Let's see. Okay. I'm going to have to work on that, I think, a little bit. After, decades, I think a lot of the metal gets fatigued. Woo! Thank you for nothing. Oh! Nothing I could do. I mean, really. Ugh. 100 points on 4 balls. All right. I think I'm going to wax it. Maybe it'll play a little faster. So there you have it. 1963 Gottlieb Wedgehead Slick Chick. Single ball game that really has a lot of interesting strategy to it. It's a lot of fun to play, and I highly recommend it. If you get a chance to get out to see one, you should definitely play it. A lot of fun. There's definitely ones out there in better condition than this. We actually have another one in the club that one of our members has, and he's in the process of restoring it. And his is in much nicer condition, but mine works. His does not yet. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. I hope that if you like what you're seeing, that you could help support us. There's a link there where you can donate via PayPal. This is a total labor of love. We're not really accomplishing a whole lot yet financially, but we're hoping to be able to make this place self-sustaining so that it'll be around forever. And your support, that could be a reality. We really appreciate it. For more, you can visit mysticcrew.com. That's MYSTICKREWE.com. And we're on Facebook and Twitter and all that. And I guess thanks for watching. Until next time.